You were the first outside investor in Facebook, 500 grand to this Zuckerberg guy. Did you know him well before that? Had you guys communicated a lot? How did that even come to pass?
Not really. It was actually literally the first day we met. We told him to leave for an hour. We came back and we gave him the term sheet about an hour later. So it was it was a fast decision. I think people always have this sort of Shark Tank image of these things with some sort of super sophisticated pitch, and you say just the right things, and that's what works. And it was nothing of the sort. And he was a kind of introverted 19-year-old sophomore, between sophomore and junior year, summer of 2004, and the main thing it had going for it was just growing fast. They were at something like 20 college campuses. They had about 100,000 people on the network, and they just needed more money for computers because there was such demand for the product as they were going to launch it at more colleges in the fall.
So is that what appealed to you more than the product itself? Just that you saw engagement with people?
It was already working.
Yeah.
But I would say the other part of it was that there was like a prehistory to it. So one of my good friends from PayPal, back from Stanford, is a guy named Reid Hoffman, who he started LinkedIn later years, and he'd worked with me at PayPal in the late 90s, early 2000s. But before that, he had started a social networking company back in 1997, 7 years before Facebook. And they already had, they had SocialNet was the name of the company. So they had social networking in the name of the company 7 years before. And there were all these things that they had thought about doing. So it was going to be, it was going to be, the 1990s version of social networking was we were going to have these avatars in cyberspace, and I might be a cat and you might be a dog, and I'd be a virtual cat and you're a virtual dog, and we have to figure out how we relate. And it turns out people weren't really interested in that. They weren't really interested in some sort of fictional online persona. It was much more about real identity. And somehow Facebook was the first one to crack the problem of real identity, where even though it's always a little bit curated, certainly for the most part people on Facebook are who they say they are.
Yeah, for the most part at least. So